東京ゲームショウ2021オンラインをご覧の皆様、こんにちは。ここからのお時間はチームマッドネスゲームズの番組をお送りいたします。それではどうぞ。
Hello everyone and thank you for being here today. My name is Adrian and I am the CEO from Team Madness Games. We are a small studio from Spain and today we have the amazing opportunity to present to you our debut title, It's Mealtime. It's Mealtime is a multiplayer physics co-op game where you have to run a restaurant with your friends, against them or against any other player. Today we will talk about main mechanics, main game modes, maps and plans for future. But first, have a look at the trailer.
We hope you have enjoyed the trailer as much as we do. Hi, you can call me Frinyi. I'm the lead designer and the current community manager. Now let's talk about the main game mechanics. Its Mealtime maps is divided into 4 zones. Each of those has different tasks that the players need to do. Let's start with the garden. In the garden, players plant crops, water them, and finally get them ready to go to the kitchen and be prepared for whatever. But of course, nothing's that easy. So there are insects and birds that you will have to get rid of, otherwise they will damage your crops or even destroy them. Then there's the walk-in freezer, where there's all the other ingredients that cannot be crafted in the garden. But if you stay here for too long, you'll freeze, so you probably need to be fast enough, you know? Then we move on to the kitchen, where the magic happens. Here, you bring the ingredients from both the garden and the walk-in freezer and prepare them to be plated. Every ingredient is prepared in a different way, so some of them need to be boiled or fried, cut, or smashed with a roller.
And remember to always take a look at what you're doing. Otherwise, you might mess it up.
And when every ingredient is ready, you just need to plate it and deliver it to the customers. Which brings us to the final zone, the dining area. Here is where customers are, where you attend them and deliver the food to. Customers come in groups from 1 to 4 customers. And, well, they need to sit at a table with the same amount of chairs as people in their group, so you need to prepare it. Otherwise, they'll get angry. Well, they get angry by a lot of reasons. They get angry if you take too long to attend them, to make their food. I mean, they have paid for it, so they deserve it, right? They have the right to do it. So you better treat them right. They're your customers. Now, let's talk about the game modes. We have 4 game modes in total: co-op, competitive versus, events, and custom matches. Let's talk about co-op matches. Here, 4 players play together to deliver all the plays that the customers ask for. Of course, you better get yourself a good team, otherwise, you might fail miserably. So communication is all. Well, in all game modes. In the competitive versus, 2 teams of 4 players each fight to deliver as many plates as possible. And the team that has delivered the most amount of plates wins. This mode is total chaos, as you can imagine. Sabotage your rivals, try to help your teammates. One extra thing about this mode is that there are rankings. You can level up your competitive level and get amazing rewards. There are also weekly events that can be either only co-op matches or competitive matches, and they are crazy fun. Sometimes you can have falling fruits from the sky, you can gain super high velocity, and sometimes you can even drive cars inside the restaurant. And finally, we have the custom matches and tournaments. We love streamers and we love their content, so we want to give them content. So we made custom tournaments especially for them, but any player can create them. And custom matches are exactly that. You can customize the time of the rounds, who you're gonna fight with or team with. That's it. Before we continue talking about the game, I just want to let you know that we care about quality and your feedback. So please, if you have any feedback that you want to give us, message us. We have our social media, we have a Discord server, anything. You matter to us. Our community is what makes us stronger. We need you. And we want to give you amazing experiences to play with friends, just have a nice time. Here we don't tolerate toxicity. So in its Mealtime, there's no chat, no voice chat. There's only small phrases that you can say or emotes to let your teammates know what you want. Because really, you don't really need anything else in this game. And if you play with friends, you're probably hanging with them on Discord or something. So you can even play with other players that you don't know in our Discord server. We have some channels for that. Moving on to the maps now. We have 5 maps in total that will be available at launch. So let's talk a little bit about them. The first one is the most basic one. It's just the one we use for the tutorial, and it's pretty straightforward. Customers come to the dining area and you just attend them. There's the kitchen, the walk-in freezer, and the garden. Pretty straightforward, as I said. Map 2 is another thing. In map 2, customers come from the kitchen, then go to the walk-in freezer, to the garden, and finally to the dining area. As you can see, they go through all the restaurant. This will make a lot of chaos, as they are basically obstacles, moving obstacles. And I didn't tell you this earlier, but customers, if they step on your crops, they will damage them. So, well, you'll find your ways to kinda push them, you know. In map 3, customers come from 2 places, the garden and the kitchen. Customers that come from the right have to go through the kitchen, then the walk-in freezer and the dining area, while the customers that come from the left go through the garden, with the possibility of stepping on your crops, into the walk-in freezer, and finally the dining area. So basically this means that they all meet at the walk-in freezer and finally at the dining area. There has to be a lot of communication with your team because this might cause a lot of chaos, you know. Map 4 is set on a swamp and there are bridges because if you fall into the water, well, that's bad. And what's special about this one is that there are not 1, not 2, but 3 dining areas. This means that customers will first go to one of them, and when that one is full, they will go to another one, and that until all of them are full, basically. This means that at some point you will have customers going all around the restaurant, and you'll have to move a lot because they are in 3 different places instead of 1. And finally, we have the 5th map, which, just to clarify, is still in development. It needs a lot of work, it needs polishing. As you can see, it's still very empty, but the idea is there. There are 3 places where the customers come from: the kitchen, the garden, and the walk-in freezer. So there's no way that you can avoid them to go through any of those places, basically. And they all meet at the dining area. And by the way that it's designed, they are going to disturb you. It doesn't matter if you're in the kitchen, in the walk-in freezer, and in the garden. Now, let's talk about the little guys that you've been seeing this whole time, the characters. They are basically cosmetics. They don't affect the gameplay, they don't have special abilities. They're just different characters. And as characters, they have names, so let me present them to you. This is Sally, this is Lolo, this is Make, and this is Sirena. Each of them has different skins. That's the only thing that's unique to the characters. Their skins are unique to them. You can buy all skins with in-game currency. Basically, by playing the game, you'll gain coins and stars depending on how well you've done in a match. And then you'll be able to purchase these skins. The skins you see change every day, so you might want to save some coins or stars to purchase the one that you want the most. There are also special trails that are not available to purchase with coins. You gain them by playing a certain amount of matches. These trails are very, very unique because once this little event ends, no one will be able to get them again. Well, maybe sometime very far in the future, but not anytime soon, that's for sure. And they are obtained and can only be obtained by playing. Just before we end up this presentation and talk about the future of our game, we would like to talk about a little bit more about our studio and how we got here, how the game has evolved all this time.
It's been a pretty rough challenge to be here right now today, because not only recording this program that you're watching right now, having a demo available for all of you, it's been quite challenging also, and the development of the game in general has been a very, very rough situation for us, because we were dealing with a lot of different things like physics plus all the networking part. So in general, we are very proud of how the development is going, because we know the importance of having everything network and working together perfectly, and it's been a really, really hard time for us.
Yeah, definitely. And this game wasn't even going to be like this in the first place. It all started when we assisted a game jam with the theme. What was the theme?
I think it was repair, fix, something like that. It was pretty funny because the game we did for that jam, it was a first-person game that you were managing a chef. Well, you couldn't see your own body, but no, you were a chef, and you had these meals that you have prepared, like pizza, I think chicken as well. The one that I remember the best is the pizza. And you had prepared like with a lot of imperfect things, and you had to fix them. That's how we approached the jam theme. For example, the pizza had some hairs in it, and you had to take them with a sort of a thing that you have to look for. So it was well, we didn't finish the jam, because the game, it was really big. I mean, what we thought it was really big for the 3 days we had, but it really gave us an initial point of what we wanted each Mealtime to be in the future. It was pretty funny though, because we were thinking about, okay, we want to make now. We've been developing games for quite a while in our personal time, and we wanted to start making things as a studio to make this as a proper living. And we said, okay, what game we could do this. We've been working in other studios now. We had some experience. What could be our approach? And then we thought, okay, what if we have Clumsy Louie? And we added.
Did you mention the name before?
Well,
It's funny.
I just mentioned right now the name of the game. It was Clumsy Louie, and it was a pretty funny name. I really liked it. So we had this game, and we said, okay, let's add some multiplayer and physics, and okay, it looks fun. Physics, multiplayer. You have
Like everyone in the team likes it. Like physics multiplayer. Oh yes.
then we said, okay, but it would be better if you had it a third person. I'm not pretty sure about this, but I think the first concept of the game was for mobile, if I don't remember.
Yes.
I
think so.
And then we changed it. Okay, we want to release it on PC, on consoles, and a lot of different kind of things. So
Yeah, and the theme also changed, because I remember that the original Clumsy Louie game, this Louie had even killed people with his clumsiness.
there was a pretty creepy story behind what this Louis had done with his clumsiness, so better not talk about that right now. And but all those things, all those kind of games, we work in our jobs with other studios. We clearly know this is a pretty ambitious project, and that's why we are working really, really hard right now for it to come alive with the support of our community. And
Of course, it was a really big change to go from a jam game, single player, really bad everything, like models, everything, and then we decided to little by little develop an multiplayer idea even more and more, and we somehow here we are.
Yep, I mean, it's despite having different work systems in other studios, regarding multiplayer, it's quite the first really big thing we were working with, and it's a big challenge, obviously. So, but we are really happy of how it's working out right now. I remember the first playable demo we had of a single player. We did it in 3 months or something like that. I remember. Well, I'm saying playable demo, but it was more than an
Not playable.
unplayable demo. But we had to have it in time so we could show it to people and receive feedback of if what we were developing was creating an interest or not. But maybe we were going the wrong direction. So that's something that we need to be aware of. That's why we mentioned earlier the high importance your feedback has to us, and I really encourage to everyone watching us right now to please have a look at our videos and just tell us your opinions about the game.
And what do you think has been or is being the most hard part of the development?
I think this is for any developers that are watching me right now, it's an obvious question, which is the multiplayer, but more the physics thinking of the on the multiplayer, it's quite a pain. It's a big pain. In general, there are some things that are not being very difficult, but the most challenging parts are when a player collides with an object, and the collision force makes the object, go away, and that velocity and position gets synchronized to all the other clients. That's quite a pain. That's quite a pain. We are making some systems and to make that the best visual, attractive, positive, that you don't see weird things. You know what I mean?
Physics are so pretty, but
I mean, yeah, physics are we all love physics. Ragdolls, they are just really, really good and funny sometimes.
everyone loves them, but they're so difficult, right?
Yeah, but when it comes to networking them, syncing them to all the clients, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah. Thank God we're not 100% physics game, which we were at some
Yeah,
point.
but I don't know if we should talk a lot about it, but the beginning of the game, we were 100% physics game. I mean, you could turn the player around with the mouse and do some weird movements, but that's quite a big change, because we at the beginning, that's how we wanted the game, a full multiplayer physics game. But then we said, is this how we really want it? I mean, we wanted to add these competitive modes and custom tournaments and all those things, but if we really wanted people to compete, I mean, they want really to earn points to get higher in the rankings, we should change the whole physics part to this mix that we have right now.
So, yeah, physics were basically getting annoying for the type of game that we wanted. It couldn't be fast-paced, everything was buggy, I don't know.
I remember when I was testing, I spent 5 minutes trying to put a piece of bread on the table so I could cut it. It was really awful at the moment. So we started implementing these instant grab systems, and we started changing how the player moved. Then we changed the animations. We started doing a lot of things, and now we're really proud, and I think you will love the game that we are building today. And it's quite a really good experience, I think.
Yeah, I remember that you talked about the animations. When it was Ragdoll, it wasn't really animated, it was all programmed.
No, it was using these joints that the engine has, and it was all coded. You had, whenever you moved, you had each joint moved to a position, and then the physics and the joints did the rest, and it was that's
Yeah.
it was
It was all physics.
Yeah,
It wasn't animation at all.
Yeah, the player moved
Yeah.
I know it moved.
It moved too much.
Yeah, too much, and it was really strange. And we now have animations with Ragdoll, and we are really good about happy about the current result, because it's something that we look at it and it's okay, this looks much better than how it did at the beginning.
Yeah, basically a lot of things has been changing, and in a very short period of time, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, yes. We've been working really fast-paced, like our game with this type of changes. I think it's also due to how we are making our intern systems of these things, the movement, the different type of system we have for the game. So they have let us this flexibility. I can't remember how many times I've changed things from the kitchen, of how I manage the different objects from the kitchen. But it really doesn't take me more than half a day or something like that, because it's just like it's pretty easy make those big changes right now, and that's something that I appreciate.
Yeah, sometimes you have to invest your time on making better systems that will help you make changes in the future very easily, rather than just doing it right now, because if you don't think about the future, then it's going to be even worse, probably.
That's a quite big deal, and updating games when you have been developing them from a year or so, it's quite difficult, but we are making it pretty well, and we are really happy about it.
I find it quite interesting that although many things have changed, there's one thing that has changed so many times. Like, do you remember the watering system?
I mean, I don't remember what we had first. Oh yeah, we had this thing this object that you like rotated, and
yeah, it was basically like a watering can, right?
Yeah. Okay, so we had this watering can that you rotated, and these particles came out, and you watered the crops. But then, as we were changing the type of game, we were turning into a more fast-paced. We want more quick reactions.
Was it at that point a bottle of water, or?
Yeah, we also had a bottle of water for some mechanics that we removed for the sake of this fast pacing we're talking about. Then we moved, so we're looking for this fast pacing. We then started making like a
hose.
Yep, but it didn't turn out very well at all. I mean, we didn't nearly finish, because we said, okay, if you activate it, then the player gets some forced add on it, and it just goes very strange. Okay, so it was a completely disaster. So we said, okay, no. Then we had this.
But that idea remained for quite a while, even without proper models.
Yeah, Then we had this spray that when the player activates it, it would get boosted up, and then when it got down, they just watered everything on a certain area. But we were still losing this time when the player got boosted up, and then the player went down to the floor. We were still losing precious time that the player could be doing any type of things. So now we implemented the final touch. We think it's gonna be pretty definitive what we have right now.
Yeah.
We're really happy about the final result, and that is this. It's the same spray that we used with the boosting, but now it just like spawns a water tornado around the player that just waters everything in a big area, and that's very quick. It's like in a big area of effect. Those type of things can change depending on our testings, and that's something that it's pretty good looking right now, and we're very happy about the final result. We also if you remember, but we're going to implement this type of box where you could put your ingredients in.
Yeah.
Well, it was mainly for the crops, but I think you could put any type of ingredient, and the player could grab the box and go around and say, okay, to the other team member, and say, okay, there you go, these are your ingredients. It didn't turn out, because I mean, as I said, we're dealing with a lot of physics. We put the crops in, and in the moment where the player grabbed the box and started working, it went everything like.
Yeah, I remember that. There's a video about it, that when you get it, the character would fly out of the map.
I mean, it was a tricky thing to make collisions with, because we couldn't make a normal collision, because it needed to have this size of a box inside. So it was pretty tricky. There was a point, as you said, where the player just grabbed the box and it was like
He would fly away.
it would fly, then go down. It was a complete disaster. So we said, okay, let's remove this because it's gonna give us more problems than solutions. So you know, you just grab the object, throw it to your friend, and that's it. I mean, there's no much more to it.
And as well as there are things that have changed a lot, there's things that have not changed almost at all, like punching a tree to make the fruit fall.
Well, I mean, that has changed.
Yeah, but
I mean, before you weren't punching. You had to, as we said before, with this ragdoll system, you moved your mouse and the player went like that. So you had to hit the tree with your head to make the fruit fall. Then when we removed that system, we said, okay, just let's punch the tree and everything.
But I mean, it was always something like physical force to make it fall.
That was that has maintained, and I'm pretty sure that the punching is not going to change. You know, we maybe some animations, because we're just polishing the whole system of punching the tree will surely remain for the future of the game.
Okay, and you've talked about physics in multiplayer and everything. We talked about some things that happen with physics, but how is it really dealing with physics in general?
I mean, on my point of view, we really have a thing that not every game has, and surely games that work more with physics, that you can like grab or interact with nearly any type of object. And that's the thing, that there are a lot of different type of objects with different masses, different sizes, different collisions. So that was a really big challenge, because you know, you had to get the pasta and put it in the pot, and you know, you were dealing with the physic pasta being in the physic pot. I mean, that sort of things are not really complex in a mechanic way, but really complex to deal with in a intern way, because the object, you know, the two objects could like explode and collide together. The physics managing of this game, it's I think what we have achieved, it's really good, because you know, you can grab any type of objects, smaller, bigger, different masses, and you will interact with them. You know, you can cut, you can put it in the pot, put it in the pan, and we're just dealing with everything in a really smooth way. It's complex because it gives a lot of problems, and sometimes they're not problems that I say, okay, am I something doing wrong as a developer? It's just like physics are not working well. Maybe some things are colliding that in a way they shouldn't, or something like that. And that's we are managing the things pretty well. That I think that's physics managing is in the same level as dealing with the customer's AI. I mean that's another big deal, because it's not a really complex AI. You know, customers just spawn, they go to the waiting zone. From the waiting zone, if you let them enter, they just go to a chair.
But there's still AI, and
I mean, it's pretty complex, because we manage a lot of different states. They can be happy, they can be angry. You know, they can be these transitions, and it's the most complex thing is not the whole AI. I mean, you know, managing these states. The most complex thing is when they sit at the table, and you want and you ask them, you know, okay, what do you want to eat? When you have your menu ready and you give your menu to them, again, this is a mix with AI, because AI needs to receive the menu, plus physics, because you are putting a physics plate on a static plate. I mean, that's just a big headache, and we're still working on it today to have it really polished. You know, we really want to you players have a really polished experience, and that's something that we are small in the team, and there are some things that we cannot approach the same way, but we are working really hard for it to be achievable, to have a really quality project since the first early access.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it, right?
Yep.
Like,
I really hope you enjoy this type of interviews where we talk about more about ourselves, our development process, and different things that have happened in the development. I think it just makes you connect better with us, and let's go with the
end of this presentation.
Sorry.
No worries. If we talk about the future of this game, of course we plan to update it as much as we can with new maps, new skins, new characters, and new seasons. Have maps, skins, and even characters set on a specific theme. Some of these seasons will be related to the real life season. So if, for example, it's winter, Christmas is coming, there's probably going to be a Christmas season with snowy maps, Santa skins, whatever. And these seasons, we plan to keep them for 1 to 2 months and then change again to another season. Oh, and I forgot to mention that this new content applies to almost everything. There can be any obstacles in the garden, for example, new recipes, new ways of cooking, new mechanics in maps, unique mechanics to unique maps. Everything that you can think of. We plan to go wild with this game and the ideas. And that's why we would love to hear your constant feedback to constantly improve our game, so you guys have a great time and we have a great time watching you guys have a great time, basically. So that is all I have to say for today. I hope you liked this presentation. I hope you wishlist our game on Steam if you liked it. The early access is coming very soon, so stay tuned. Follow us on our social media, join our Discord server, and just stay tuned if you want to know more about our game. Thank you so much, and bye bye!
チームマッドネスゲームズの番組をお送りいたしました。この後18時よりマイクロソフトの番組が始まります。東京ゲームショウ2021オンライン、引き続きお楽しみください。